Hey everyone, this is Hefe with Aavegotchi Pacific Chapter, and we're lucky to have NoFuture on with us here today, and we're going to be chatting about the raffle. He's definitely prepared himself really well for this, among some other prominent community members. So I think it's important to hear their approach to this and kind of understand why they're approaching the raffle this way. So yeah, NoFuture. How's it going, man?
It's going good. Thank you for having me.
Right on, right on. So we got this raffle coming up on January 26th. You're gonna have 3 days to enter all your tickets. How are you approaching this raffle this time around?
Well, I'll say that for this raffle, I've like fully ascended to my full like DGen self, and I've gone ham. I've spent a lot of Ghost buying tickets, so I'm prepping to drop in probably like close to 5,000 Ghost worth of tickets I bought on the secondary market, with the hopes of winning some dope wearables, a whole bunch of dope wearables.
Nice, nice. Previously in raffles, have you approached it the same way as you have now this time around?
Well, the very last raffle for land I did was the first raffle previously before the last land raffle. I never entered more than just a handful of tickets, and then I lost and felt burnt. So I just generally sell the tickets. But this time, after watching or speaking with Dr. Wagme in the Discord, he was showing like the chances based up for the land raffle. I aped in and bought 100 drop tickets. I minted 18 with my own friends, and then I threw them all in and I won 5 plots of land. I was able to sell one of them for basically 100% return on investment. So I got my money back plus 100%, and I still have 4 other very nice parcels. One of them being a D1 inner wall spacious, which like now the cheapest ones go for like 8,000 Ghost on the bazaar. So that was very encouraging to me. So this time I've gone even harder. Last time it was 1,100 Ghosts that I've entered in tickets. This time I'm sitting on, like I said, close to 5,000 Ghosts of tickets.
Wow. And this is something I've noticed with a lot of us OG Aavegotchi owners, is the previous raffles we would enter almost kind of in a speculative approach, where we would approach entering this raffle the same way we would with a lottery or any other kind of raffle in real life. And then people slowly almost came to realize over time the value of these raffles. You know, being so early in the game, even if you started yesterday, you have very good odds with these raffles. So it's interesting to see, especially with Dr. Wagme coming in with all these statistics, and how people can take a more statistical approach to these raffles. I think that's really, really cool. So are there any specific wearables you have your eye on this time around? Because I think we have roughly 24 new wearables that are going to be introduced this time around.
So the big one for me is the sus butterfly. I'm very much into that sus butterfly. It's the first pet that has positive traits, and it just looks kind of cool. It's a sus butterfly, it's a little suspect. So that's the big one for me. I bought a lot of legendary tickets with the hopes of getting that item a few times if I can. And then the geisha set. I like a lot of the range weapons, but the geisha set has really like grown on me. The last tickets I bought actually it was like 500, 600 rare tickets, because I want to try to get a couple geishas in my little gotcha gang.
Yeah, I like that. I like the geisha set. It's definitely growing on me, and I've thought of some cool combinations with the geisha set that you could combine that robe, that kimono, with so many other different sets.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool that they have more female themed sets this time around. I think it's good to have that variety, because I know we have a decent amount of females in the Gotcha gang now, and I could see some of them aping into this raffle just to get their hands on some stuff. So, do you know other whales approach, other prominent community members approach? How are they approaching this raffle? Similar to you, or a little bit different?
I feel like there's a definitely I've had some interviews with some big guys recently, Bearded, Dr. Wagme, and they're definitely going to be degenning and kind of hard. I can see them, buying and enter or earning tickets from staking and entering a whole bunch. But I also think that some of the whales are going to kind of do a mixed approach where they sell part of their tickets that they've made through friends staking or staking for friends, and then entering the other tickets But like, Mark Zeller, he just posted on Twitter that he has 555 godlike tickets, which should give him a reasonable chance to win some godlike items. I know he's going for the katana, which we all want, but he's probably going to win. But that's a lot of ghosts. That's almost like 30,000 ghosts, which is over $60,000, which is insane. So he's in it to win it.
Wow. And that goes back to what we were saying earlier, how he's looking at this from a risk-reward statistical approach, going in with a high amount of tickets, even though what's a godlike ticket going for right now these days? Like 80 ghosts?
54, 55 ghosts?
Okay. So, yeah, it hasn't got up to where I thought it would be yet, but, it could definitely get... We've seen it in the past where, a couple of days before the raffle, the ticket prices will really start moving up, because right now we have people that are staking for frens, and then they're dumping the frens, turning them into tickets and then selling it for a yield because they know there's going to be a demand. But that tends to kind of run out at some point, and then the price action starts happening with tickets, I notice. So it'll be interesting to see what these tickets do a couple days before the auction as well.
Yeah, I plan on selling my godlike tickets. I have 13 of them. I have 10 up on the bazaar, because if you look at the godlike floor, especially considering how many tickets you need to win, it's pretty thin floor. Like, we're talking a couple hundred tickets until like the price almost doubles from the current price. So hopefully, I'm hoping there's a pump and I could sell some of those godlike tickets so I can get some of my yield back from staking, but also buy more tickets, especially common and uncommon tickets.
Yeah, are you thinking of maybe entering one ticket just to see what happens?
I might. I think I have to. There are stories of people winning on one ticket, one godlike item off of one godlike ticket. So it's like, if I'm going to degen and put almost 10,000 USD into this, I might as well be willing to flip, put $100 worth of godlike ticket into it, see what happens.
That's a true degen story right there. If you end up winning one of those godlikes, that's awesome. If it was me, I would probably end up selling the godlike, and that's a lot of ghost. It's a lot of ghost. Yeah. So it's interesting to see the different approaches people are taking to this raffle. If you were a smaller guy with a smaller amount of capital going into this raffle, would your approach be any different than the approach you're doing right now?
Well, the way I like to think about it is, if I had a smaller bag and say I only had 200 ghosts and I have my 200 ghosts staked, that means every day I earn 4 common tickets. So if you hold, 25 days staked, that's going to give you 100 common tickets, which should give you a chance to win a common item. So that common item, if you win, would be the yield on your staking, or you could sell the tickets and that's your yield. So if you earn 100 tickets, common tickets, which currently go for about 7% of a ghost, that means you're yielding in 25 days 7 ghosts on your 200, which is a nice return on investment. As a small player, I might sell the tickets and then stake so I can earn more tickets and slowly kind of grind up from there. But I would also, I would venture probably doing kind of like what some of the whales are doing, and doing a split approach and putting some tickets in and selling some tickets so that you get a automatic return. You're still getting a return and you're not completely wrecked. But like, if you took your friends and you were able to buy one godlike ticket and you won, you made the right choice. It's just, we got to see what Sergey and the Chainlink VRF gods are doing for everybody.
That's right. And how much of a hopium dose you have as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which, I've done the one godlike ticket thing and, been thinking about it the night before, being like, I could be that guy.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that way. And I think, there's some whales going in trying to grab a large amount of wearables this time around, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. From the people I've spoken to, there's definitely, it feels like it's a accumulation stage for some of these bigger players, because, the launch of the Gotchiverse, there are guilds involved that need to get wearables for their channeling. So there's going to be a lot of interest in this raffle.
I think it's worth mentioning also, as a plug, I'm going to plug the Gotchi Vault right here. If you're a smaller player and you don't want to do any of that yield management that we're talking about here with getting a good APY, a good return on your friend staking, another way to approach it is to use the Gotchi Vault. And it's not financial advice, but I do recommend you check it out if you are thinking of maybe not entering the raffle, but you want to earn some yield on your ghost in a very reliable way. then you can lend your ghost out or deposit it in the vault, and you will get a certain percentage in APY generated on your ghost. It's definitely worth looking into, the Gotchi Vault. Yeah. Me personally, I'm going to probably go with the Gotchi Vault this time around, but I also know we have a couple other raffles that may be happening shortly, right? We have the land raffle coming up probably not too long from now. And so how do you think people entering the raffle now, how do you think that's going to change the odds for this land raffle coming up? We have a couple thousand parcels.
Well, what I think is for sure, this is probably going to be the last wearable raffle before the launch of the Gotchiverse. We're not getting any more Gotchis before the Gotchiverse, and we'll likely not get any more wearables. So it's I think there's going to be a higher demand for these wearables since this is kind of the last time to get in. And these wearables are more aimed towards the RPG nature of the game. So you're going to get items that show gameplay utility. With the land, I could see people going in on it, but there's also going to be like a little fatigue from people spending all their friends. So like I know personally, like a couple weeks ago when I started accumulating all these tickets before the raffle was announced, I started buying some drop tickets because they were as low as like 8 ghost drop tickets, 7.9 ghosts, which is crazy. And in the last raffle with 118 tickets entered, drop tickets, I was able to win 5 parcels. So I feel, I've already started accumulating them. I think there'll probably be less tickets going into that last land raffle because people are going to really be trying to win some wearables for this one.
Yeah, that's really something to consider. There seems to be a lot of enthusiasm around these wearables now coming out as a DeFi RPG themed wearable set compared to the wearables we've had in the past. Have some sort of a meme aspect to them, or they might be related to some promotional thing, or they might be related to, like, there's an Aave set, that sort of thing. But this is the first kind of gameplay related set, so I figure there's going to be some utility baked into these wearables, right? And in addition to that, these wearable stats this is the first land raffle where the wearable stats, I guess, have been curated by the Wearables task force. So I think that's really interesting to see. So do you think the Wearables task force will play a bigger role going forward in future wearable raffles to prevent like oversupply and other issues that might arise?
Yeah, I do think that the wearable task force is full of like big brain gotcha gang members who have been tasked with balancing and making sure that supply does not outpace demand, so that we're not diluting the pool, the value of the wearables. So these wearables all seem to they seem more balanced. They seem like they'll be better because certain wearables like raffles or even like I think of my legendary crown, which I love, but it lowers my energy and it lowers my brain. There's not very many situations where that is helpful to my gotchis. I don't have gotchis. I think I have one gotchi that's low energy, low brain. So if I put that wearable on, it's good for the gotchi, but that's assuming that like we're working off of a bell curve that low traits have a utility versus high traits. So this raffle, these wearables, it seems it's more balanced. There's more plus and negative. It kind of balances out. Like I think of the sus butterfly, first pet +4 aggressions. I think the only pet that'll have a positive trait boost. So it's very attractive. If you have a very aggressive gotchi and you add this pet, it's become even more aggressive. So it's I definitely see the value in the wearable task force, and I love that they're actually taking the time, like the nerdy amount of time, to really like research and think about like, okay, how are we going to make these wearables the best for our gotchis? Which is impressive. I love that. I had to go low there because I'm so impressed.
Well, I think there was an interesting point that we had made earlier with these wearables, how we're going to get a whole bunch of alpha over the next couple weeks because we've been blessed with the Gotchiverse Bible, and there's going to be chapters being released every couple weeks. So the next couple weeks we're going to find out things like the Aavegotchi trait mechanics themselves. And in addition to that, later, I think 2 weeks after that, we find out some of the wearable utility. So I could see probably there being a lot of market activity over the next couple of weeks around wearables. What are your thoughts around that?
Oh, I agree. There's going to be, once we learn utility of any sort, like we've seen it in the past. I remember when I believe it was the tower defense minigame when that was launched. the price of fireballs, the price of the M2 and M67 grenades, all hand items, which gave you like a advantage in the game, they all shot up. So like now fireballs are like 200 ghosts, which is insane. So I can definitely see that as we learn utility for new items, new utility even for the old items, that there's gonna be shifts in the market. So for me personally, that information will be released hopefully next Thursday or Friday as the raffle's kicking off. So my goal is to wake up early enough. Usually when Pixelcraft, Aavegotchi, when they drop information, it usually happens 2 p.m. UTC, 10 p.m. Singapore time, or that's 9 a.m. for me. So if ideally I can wake up early enough, get that document just as everybody else is while I have my bazaar open, and then just going to start trading. I definitely see some market moves happening once that information is disseminated.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I could see with certain wearables switching hands quickly, but then we also have another strategy who was brought up. It was brought up by Dr. Wagme, I believe. I think he's going to be stockpiling some of these wearables. Is that right?
Yeah, he said that he has quite a cachet of uncommon tickets and common tickets. I believe he has over 150,000 common tickets. And based on his projections, he believes that he can win up to 600 common items, which is more than 10% of the full amount of common items that are being released in this raffle. So he's planning on holding them so that he can eventually rent them out to guilds, or sell them in bulk to guilds at a premium. So I believe I definitely do think, especially with guilds coming in with the Gotchi Vault, they're going to be a big player in this. And then with whales like Dr. Wagme, that there's going to be supply shock for some of these items and less liquidity than we actually think, because he's going to be diamond handing, like 600 of these common items. It's going to lead to, I think, price appreciation, hopefully.
Yeah, it's definitely unique with the price action of these wearables that get won in raffles versus the wearables that are auctioned off. I find there's a lot more distribution when you're having wearables auction. Well, at least from the last auction that we saw with wearables, a lot of smaller bags, people with smaller bags were able to get their hands on some really cheap wearables, like really really cheap. And with the raffle, it's almost like, because of this liquidity issue, if there's a wearable you already have your eye on that you're thinking about buying, you might be better off actually statistically finding the right amount of tickets and costing that, getting the price of that and considering that the price of entry for your wearable. Not a guarantee that you're going to win it, but we have some tools that we can use to put the advantages in our favor statistically. It's been a pleasure to hear what your thoughts are around this raffle, and we've got some insights into what some of the larger players are doing. And if you're a smaller guy, smaller bags, you still have some options available to you. So I highly recommend checking those out. And NoFuture, thank you for your time today and doing this little interview. I think a lot of people will find it helpful going into this auction.
Thank you. Gotcha, gang.
Gotcha, gang.